Just after midnight, flames erupted from St. Eliah's Community Chapel, a small, white-paneled church on Ashby Street. The building had served as more than a house of worship. It was a food bank, a tutoring center, a place where refugees learned English and where recovering addicts held hands in circles, praying for one more day. Now it was burning. Sirens wailed as firefighters descended on the scene. Cutting through the bitter dark, red and blue lights washed over stunned faces, over snow turned to ash, over the collapsed figure of a teenage girl dragged from the back of the building. Her name was Nadia Kareem. She was 16, and she had just become the face of something the town hadn't seen before. Hate stitched into violence. Detective Jonah Hale arrived at 1:23 a.m. He stepped out of his cruiser slowly, his boots crunching over frozen glass. A heavy-set man in his late 40s. Hale was known for his patience and for never speaking unless necessary. His colleagues said he had the eyes of a man who'd seen too much and forgiven too little. He didn't need anyone to explain what had happened. One look at the scorched doorway, the scent of gasoline thick in the air, and he knew this was no accident. Inside an ambulance, Nadia lay unconscious, hooked to oxygen. Her mother, Amal Kareem, knelt beside her, murmuring prayers in Arabic. Her husband, Rashid, stood outside, holding his daughter's backpack like it was made of glass. Later, the Kareems would say their world changed in seconds, but change had already been brewing. Quietly, darkly, just beneath the surface of Briar Ridge. 3 days before the fire, someone had tagged the chapel with a slur. It was scrubbed off by volunteers before sunrise. No police report, no cameras, just shame, silence, and the hope it wouldn't happen again. But hate unchallenged grows teeth. The chapel was a place of harmony. Some called it a miracle. Muslims and Christians worshiping in the same building, immigrants and lifelong locals cooking meals together in its kitchen. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. That made it a target. As firefighters battled the blaze, news spread like a second fire. Phones buzzed. Screens lit up. Neighborhood chat groups exploded. People wanted answers. Others wanted someone to blame. In the absence of facts, theories filled the void. Some blamed outsiders. Others whispered it was an inside job. A few didn't say it aloud, but their silence was a judgment. Detective Hale worked methodically. He reviewed security footage from nearby businesses, combed alleyways for footprints. At a hardware store 3 blocks away, he found a receipt for a gallon of accelerant and a pair of gloves. The buyer was young, male, and paid cash. But there was one clue: blue paint. The fire had melted a trash bin beside the chapel, revealing a smear of blue near its base. The same paint sold at that hardware store. Surveillance footage showed a hooded figure dragging a gas can. Hale froze the screen. One dragging step, a left-handed grip, an old, torn hoodie. He wrote a name in his notebook: Vernon Owens, known as V, 19 years old, in and out of foster care. No job, no known address. He had been picked up 2 years ago for stealing a bike. Charges dropped, lost in the system. V had one thing nobody noticed until it was too late: rage. Not loud, not flashy, just simmering. Nadia remained in critical condition, her lungs damaged by smoke, her body bruised from falling debris. Doctors induced a coma to help her heal. Her friends gathered outside the hospital with candles. They started a fundraiser. Within days, the town raised over $300,000. Messages flooded in from across the country. But online support couldn't drown out real-life division. Local radio hosts speculated. Rumors circled. Someone even claimed the Kareems set the fire themselves for sympathy. Detective Hale knew better. He found V living in an abandoned van behind the old cinema. When Hale knocked, V didn't run. He opened the door slowly. His eyes were red. "You looking for me?" Hale didn't speak right away. He saw the lighter on the floor. He saw a crumpled flyer from the chapel. And he saw a boy who didn't know what he wanted, only what he hated. V was arrested without incident. He confessed within an hour. Not because he wanted to, because he couldn't lie anymore. "I didn't want anyone to get hurt," he said. But someone did. Nadia. When her parents were told, Amal wept quietly. Rashid didn't speak for almost 10 minutes. When he finally did, he asked one thing: "Can we speak to him?" It shocked everyone. Why would the family of the victim want to talk to the one who almost destroyed them? Amal answered for them all: because punishment is justice, but listening is healing. A restorative justice meeting was arranged. The room was small. No cameras, no press, just V, cuffed and ashamed, and two grieving parents. Amal brought a photo of Nadia from her science fair. Her smile, so wide it felt like a sunrise. She loves building things, Amal said. Robots, code. She believes in fixing. V looked down. "Why did you do it?" she asked gently. He answered honestly: "I thought you all had more than me, and I hated how that felt." Amal didn't flinch. "You were wrong. We had barely enough. But we had hope. You burned it." V cried. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't deserve it. Still, Rashid said something no one expected. "When you're released, you will come to the new chapel, and you will help rebuild." V nodded. And so, when the trial came, the judge read his sentence carefully. 6 years, with eligibility for parole in 2, mandatory counseling, 1,000 hours of community service upon release, and participation in rebuilding what he had tried to erase. The town watched. Some called it mercy, others called it weakness, but the Kareems called it faith. Faith in second chances, faith in community, faith in their daughter, who woke weeks later and asked for a math notebook before her phone. She would walk again. Slowly, she would return to school. Quietly, she would become the leader of the town's first youth reconciliation council. And she would never forget what the flames taught her: that even when something burns, what matters most can survive. The chapel was rebuilt with donations from across the nation, but it was the people who gave it life. Teenagers painted murals. Veterans built ramps for the disabled. Local musicians held benefit concerts. Even V, once released, showed up. He sanded floors, hammered nails, apologized with work, not words. One afternoon, he saw Nadia across the hall. She nodded. He nodded back. It was enough. The new building was called the Bridge, not because of architecture, because of what it stood for. And under its roof, people came together, every faith, every race, every story, united not by pain, but by what came after. Hope, the kind you build, one piece at a time. If this story gripped you, subscribe now and open the next story with us. There's always more beneath the surface.